Manchester United nil, Newcastle nil, and there you have it, guys. We couldn't get the goal. United couldn't get the goal. United huffed and they puffed. But unlike the last game where we came up with the goal at the end, this time we just couldn't get the goal. There is so much to get into with this game. We're going to talk about Fred, and in my opinion, he will be blamed by many of you. Many of the fans will blame Fred, and Fred alone, like he's the only player on the pitch for us not winning this game. And I just think that's unfair because I can already see everyone saying Fred, 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 but it wasn't just Fred. Did Fred play well? No, but there's a lot of players who didn't play well. So we're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about the missed chances that we had, just like the game before. We're going to talk about the lack of cohesion in the final third, the decision making for me in the final third. We're going to talk about the fact that we did not press. We did not press. We didn't put Newcastle under enough pressure. And essentially, even though we had good possession, we rushed a lot of the times. We rushed our passing, and they made us play their game. They played us into a trap many, many times. So a lot to get into this game. Before we begin, as usual, just smash the like, turn on the notifications, and if you haven't yet subscribed, subscribe below. This is a brand new football channel where I'm just going to focus on the game, on the match as I see it. I'm just going to call what I see and and basically tell you guys how I analyze the game. You could agree with me, you could disagree with me. That's the whole point of the channel. We have conversation, and I basically tell you what I see. And we just analyze the game. So yeah, let's get into it quickly. Let's look at the starting lineup and how it differed from the last game. I didn't really have any problems with the starting lineup. I practically started the same players except for Sancho for Rashford. This time around, Sancho ended the last game well, so I don't disagree with him starting Sancho. I wanted to see the Casemiro and Fred partnership a bit more because, as we know, they play together for Brazil. So I wasn't against it, Casemiro and Fred. I want to see them more to see what they can offer. So that's fine. And sure, in for Malacia, I'm fine with that as well. Malacia has started the season well, but at the same time, he has made a few mistakes. He has been out of position a few times. And sure, my problem with Shaw has never been his lack of quality. My problem with Shaw has always been his commitment and his drive. Sometimes I just feel like he's a bit lazy, literally. So in terms of the starting lineup, I had no problems. I still think if Eriksen was fit, because apparently he's sick, we should have started Eriksen. But this team is good enough to beat Newcastle. So I've got no problems with starting lineup. We could have scored in the first few minutes. I think Fred had an opportunity. And we're going to talk, of course, about Fred throughout this video. But Fred is a DM. Or you can argue he's a box-to-box. He's there for a specific reason. He wins the ball and he gives it, right? He works well in a specific system, I think, Fred. Fred's had really good games and also Fred's had not good games. But Fred isn't the reason why Man United didn't score today. He isn't. He could have scored himself, but we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what Ronaldo actually offered today, what Bruno actually offered today. But the game started really quickly, fast tempo, and that did not play into Man United's hand. Man United have players for me that can play that quick football, but we like to control the tempo. I think when we look our best, when we look our most comfortable is when we have the ball and we have 50, 60% possession, like towards the end of the game when we started to build on that possession. But the likes of Sancho and the likes of Antony, I feel, are players who like to have a few touches, who like possession-based football, who, of course can play counter-attack, because counter-attack is not a style of play. Counter-attack is what you do while you're playing football. Every team counter-attacks. So when people say counter-attacking style, I'm like, well, counter-attacking is not really a style, because everybody is supposed to really counter-attack. when you have the opportunity. If there's space and you get the ball and the other team is on the back foot, you counter-attack. But so I think we suit players that are more possession-based. So when Newcastle were, pressing us, and at the same time we weren't pressing Newcastle, I noticed that we tried sometimes, but and this is not a diss, this is just an observation. With Ronaldo, we do not press as much. It's as simple as that. And in the Premier League, you have to press. You have to. So we didn't press as much, but when we had the ball, they pressed us. So they forced us to play things quick. And we just looked so uncomfortable when we tried to play too quick because they were just closing us down and pressing us. And if you're going to play quick out from the back or be pressured to play out quick from the back, you got to have somebody who can turn the defender and run in from behind. And we didn't have that with Ronaldo. Ronaldo came short and he did fine today when he came short. I thought he played okay today. He didn't play terribly. I'm not the biggest fan of Ronaldo as a 37-year-old playing up front in the Premier League. I respect what he did and I love what he did for the club. But I just think he's coming towards the end of his career now and he needs to understand that. But I can't say he played terribly today, but I just don't think Ronaldo offered us what we needed, because after a while, Newcastle kept pushing up. You can see their line go further forward, and they just got comfortable in the first half a little bit. Around the 37th minute, Antony had Sancho fed in Antony, and Antony had the opportunity to score, and I think he straight at the keeper. Newcastle had their chances. Joe Linton hit the crossbar and then hit the post, I think, as well. But I think in the first half, I kept thinking Jadon and Antony need more of the ball because they were a threat for United. We just needed to give them more of the ball and support them. And for me, we needed, how Man City score a lot of their goals? Overlap, cut back, bang. Or go overlap, pass across the goal, and, Raheem Sterling tapping. I think when we need to utilise our wingers now. If our wingers are now our better players, we could talk about Bruno. But if our Antony's and Sancho's are our creative players, we need to start supporting them. We didn't have enough overlaps. And when the overlaps happened, I don't think Antony and Sancho themselves perhaps utilised the situation. And Newcastle were quite good defensively, to be fair. They tracked our runs a lot. They ran their socks off. But, I thought Antony was looking for Ronaldo a bit too many times. Too many times when Antony had the ball on the right, a pass to Bruno in the middle was on. Or a cut back to Casemiro was on. And he kept, I think, forcing the ball to Antony. It seems like they've got a good relationship off the field, potentially. But don't bring that shit on the field. Like, play your game, innit? Play your game. But, second half, we came out. We started better. We put our foot on the ball and we didn't play, in a tempo in the way that Newcastle wanted us to play. We took our time. It felt like the space opened up a little bit more. And sometimes all you need is to delay a pass for a split second, not rush. Because if you're rushing it, you're not going to get things right all the time, especially when you don't have the technical ability to always play quickly. But sometimes especially if the opponent know that you're going to pass the ball quickly. But if you just dummy the ball, send him flying over there, send the defender flying, just dummy it, take him out of the game. All of a sudden, you've got 2 more seconds to make a decision. And that's the sort of thing we were doing in the second half. Martinez was just not just, Martinez, whether he's passing it quickly or slowly, for a defender, he's a really good passer with the ball. I love watching him play. But, he was doing that kind of thing as well. So we started well in the second half. But I think a question I have to ask you guys, and let me know your thoughts, please, is why the Sancho penalty wasn't a penalty, if that makes sense. It looks like he was kicked and he was fouled. His legs were taken away from him in the box. But I don't understand. Was it okay? Maybe I don't know. I'm seeing things, but I think that should have been a penalty. But if you disagree, let me know why. Because I don't understand why VAR looked at it and they still didn't, override it. But I don't understand VAR. I try to, and I'm a human being. I'm a person who relies on consistency. I need consistency. But if there's no consistency with VAR, I'm trying to find it. I'm like, where is the consistency with this shit? There is none. It is, anyway, where were we? So, yeah. But we started well, but we allowed Newcastle back in the game in the second half. We allowed Newcastle back in the game. And Bruno and Ronaldo, I don't think Bruno and Ronaldo work. They never have worked. They never will work. They occupy the same positions a lot of the times. For Portugal, they get in each other's way. For Man United, they get in each other's way. Once again, I think Casemiro and Fred, they need Bruno to sometimes fall back. He does fall back, but I want a number 10 who always wants to be involved in the game. Always wants to be involved. You know how Maddison always wants to just be involved. I'm not saying he's better than Bruno. I'm not trying to say anything, but you can argue he might be. But Bruno sometimes he wants to. I sometimes feel like Bruno hides as well, and I sometimes feel like when the going gets tough, but yeah, like in the big games, in the really really big games, Bruno doesn't turn up. He doesn't, and I remember people comparing it to Pogba, but I remember Pogba turning up in some big games, like Man City, But in the really big games, Bruno doesn't really turn up. And this is not really a big game. I just felt today, he was okay today, but I just wanted more. I wanted more. I wanted him to drop a bit and drop a shoulder. And you can't get that from Bruno. Bruno's not somebody he's not a dribbler. He's not like a João Felix or Neymar. He's not that. He's not that kind of number 10 that dribbles. He's like more of like a Frank Lampard number 10. And I don't like those number 10s, man. I like the flair number 10s, mate. I like those saucy number 10s. For me, he's not even a number 10. He's like a number 8. And I think he still gives the ball away too much. He wasn't the only problem because, like I said, even though Fred wasn't the only problem today, Fred was a problem today. I'm not going to say Fred played well. That's a lie if I said Fred played well. But he wasn't the only problem today. And he didn't play that bad. He did his job. He won the ball. He made a lot of challenges. He kept his tempo and his engine from minute 0 to minute 100 is always going to be top notch. And we needed that because Newcastle were a flipping fit team, But Bruno today, yeah, he didn't do it to me. And Ronaldo, even though Ronaldo tried, you can tell he's trying. Ronaldo, he just is his physical ability. Like I keep saying, I'm not a pace and power guy. I don't like footballers who just rely on pace and power. But you do need a little bit of pace and power in the Premier League. And he's physically just not able to, he can't beat a man. He can't be put through. He can't do that much damage, playing with a high line. So Newcastle just kept pushing up. And at the same time, the crosses to him, the delivery to him wasn't that good either. So you got to say what you see. Say what you see. And I saw Antony and Sancho and some of the creative players, when they crossed the ball to him, it wasn't really that accurate. I saw that, but I also saw that he can't run in behind and against a high line. He's also a bit useless. So I also saw that, and both can be true at the same time. So I probably would have started Rashford. To be honest, I would have started Rashford because I just don't think against really intense teams, I don't think we should start Ronaldo. I think Ronaldo should play Europa League, games. But it is what it is. But Rashford came on for Ronaldo in the 70th minute. Yeah, that's fine. I'm fine with that decision, to be honest. Rashford could have won it at the very end with his header. Unfortunately, it went wide. Fred could have won it at the very end. Unfortunately, his shot went wide. And of course, a lot of emotional people now will be, Fred is the reason why we lost. Oh, we didn't lose, we drew. Fred is the reason why we didn't win. But, Fred's not the reason why Antony crossed the ball too high and he went over Ronaldo's head. Fred didn't do that. Fred's not the reason why Ronaldo's not quick. Fred didn't do that. Fred's not the reason why Rashford missed the last chance. Like you got to think. Don't be so emotional in your assessment. Be a bit more logical. Did Fred play well? Fred play well? No, he didn't play that well. In the second half, he played better. He did play better in the second half, but in the first half, he didn't. But Eriksen. I don't think Eriksen has scored this season, has he? People, Eriksen would have. Eriksen would have. I don't know. Maybe he would have, but maybe we would have lost 2-0. Eriksen was on the pitch when we lost 4-0 against Brentford. Eriksen was on a pitch when we lost 4-0 against Brentford. So, shoulda, woulda, coulda, if that, and but, But one thing that's showed, or we've seen, is that are we starting to have a problem with scoring goals? Last game, we puffed and puffed and we scored at the last minute. Is it a psychological thing that's happening with the players? Coming from the back of the last game, because the keeper defeated us psychologically in the last game. I really think, when after a while you keep missing, and then so it gets into your head and then it just fucks with your head. I think that happened in the last game. Are we seeing something here? We're not finishing our dinner. Or is this just a little phase? Is this something, So I'm trying to think. When we get going, there is a cohesiveness that is developing. And I can see it. You can clearly see it. But there's a breakdown in the final third. But I don't see it. When Martial is playing, I see it less. And I'm not saying it's just Ronaldo's fault either. I think we have, issues in decision making in the final third at the moment. We're not doing the right things. It's not just quality. But onwards and upwards. Next game, I'll do my match reaction. My man in the match. Ooh, who's my man in the match today? I think Antony played well today. I like Antony today. He wasted some crosses. Some of his passes were overhit and underhit, but he spun the right back. I haven't seen sort of a fullback right winger like Antony play like that for a long time. And he's the sort of player that I like to see. He has quality and he can only get better, and he's got speed. And the more the more confidence he gets, the better he will be, because he's only just 22. He's the same age as Jaden. Jaden played well today as well. I liked his performance. He could have done better, of course. But I liked Antony. I'll give it to Antony. Yeah, Casemiro played well. Another mention for Casemiro once again today. He did his thing. Martinez, I like Martinez's performance today as well. Varane was sound. Dallo was a bit, hit and miss. He should have shot at the end, Dallo. Sure. Yeah, I think I was fine with Shaw's performance. Fred, hit and miss today. Fred. Ronaldo and Bruno, those two, they didn't offer anything, but we didn't get going in the first half. That tempo was too quick for us. But we settled in the second half. Unfortunately, we just couldn't get the goal. Anyway, thank you guys for listening, and have a good evening, have a good week, and I'll see you next time. Peace. If you're not